The night air itself seemed to scream. Over Baghdad, darkness was torn asunder, replaced by a terrifying dawn. Explosions blossomed like monstrous flowers of fire. It was March 2003. Millions watched in horror as a military operation commenced. This was a brutal theatrical performance. The atmosphere crackled with a palpable wave of power. Shock and awe became linked to these images. Imagine the sheer sensory overload for those on the ground. The ground quaked continuously, promising more destruction. The sound was a deafening roar, obliterating coherent thought. Blinding flashes seared the eyes, turning the cityscape into chaos. This assault on the senses was meticulously planned. It aimed to paralyze the will to resist, inducing a state of utter helplessness. Planners understood a deep psychological truth. Human beings can endure significant hardship, but being dwarfed by an incomprehensible force shatters courage. It targets the mind, seeking psychological disintegration. The echoes reverberate far beyond the battlefield, sending a chilling message to adversaries, demonstrating devastating force to deter and intimidate. A psychological gambit on a grand scale. Images sear into global consciousness, shaping perceptions for years. What is shock and awe? Is it just overwhelming military force or something more psychological? We explore its historical and psychological impact. From battlefields to boardrooms, shock and awe shape strategies and minds. Understand its profound and lasting effects. What is shock and awe in military terms? It is a doctrine called rapid dominance. The aim is to cripple the adversary. It shatters their will and spirit, making resistance appear hopeless. The goal is psychological submission, achieving swift, decisive victory. The term shock and awe certainly sounds modern, a product of advanced military technology, yet the underlying concept is as ancient as warfare itself. Throughout history, warriors and commanders have always sought a decisive edge over their foes. They instinctively understood the immense power of fear. Dominating an enemy's mind, breaking their morale was often the key to victory, sometimes even before the main battle was truly joined. Such brutal tactics designed to overwhelm and terrify are woven into the very fabric of human history. They represent a grim, persistently recurring theme in the annals of conflict. Consider, for instance, Genghis Khan and the formidable Mongol armies of the 13th century. They were undisputed masters of psychological terror. Their forces relied on incredible speed, disciplined brutality, and a fearsome reputation. News of their relentless conquests and the dire fate of those who resisted would spread like wildfire. Entire cities and regions would often surrender without a fight, simply at the approach of the Mongol horde. The pervasive fear of the Mongols became their most potent weapon. This was psychological warfare, perfected in its time, turning reputation into an unstoppable force. The Roman legions, centuries earlier, also employed tactics designed to instill awe and fear. Their highly disciplined formations on the battlefield were an imposing sight. Their remarkable engineering feats, such as the rapid construction of forts, roads, and sophisticated siege engines, demonstrated an ability to overcome any obstacle, inspiring dread in their adversaries. Furthermore, Roman retribution against any rebellious populations was notoriously merciless and widely publicized. This sent an unambiguous message of Roman dominance and the severe consequences of defiance. Opposition was consistently met with calculated, overwhelming power designed to crush resistance. These ancient empires, though separated by centuries and cultures, understood something absolutely vital about warfare. They knew that breaking the enemy's spirit, their courage, was crucial for victory. It was often just as important, if not more so, than breaking their physical lines of defense. The psychological blow, delivered with precision and overwhelming force, could be utterly decisive. This fundamental principle directly links their ancient methods to modern military doctrines of shock and awe. The overarching aim was always to make the enemy feel small, insignificant, and utterly overpowered by a superior force. Let us fast forward through history to the tumultuous events of the 20th century. Here, the German military strategy known as Blitzkrieg emerged with devastating effect. The term, meaning lightning war in German, aptly describes its character. This innovative and brutal strategy terrified Europe during the early stages of World War II. It clearly showed the terrifying evolution of shock tactics in the industrial age. Unprecedented speed and profound surprise were its defining hallmarks. It was designed to achieve rapid, decisive, and psychologically shattering victories against unprepared opponents. It was a brutal, ruthlessly effective doctrine. Blitzkrieg was a carefully orchestrated symphony of destruction, combining different military forces in novel ways. Panzer divisions with their fast-moving tanks spearheaded the assaults. Motorized infantry followed closely to secure gains. Crucially, the Luftwaffe's air power, particularly dive bombers like the infamous Stuka, worked in close coordination. The terrifying sirens of these dive bombers were deliberately used to induce terror and panic on the ground among both soldiers and civilians. These forces bypassed heavily fortified enemy strongpoints, striking deep into enemy territory, severing supply lines and communication networks, thereby causing widespread chaos and confusion. The psychological impact of Blitzkrieg on those who faced it was truly immense and often immediate. Enemy soldiers and civilian populations alike were completely overwhelmed. Established communication systems were quickly cut, severing contact between units and their commanders. Traditional command and control structures rapidly collapsed under the relentless pressure. Fear, uncertainty, and a sense of utter helplessness spread faster than the advancing panzer columns. The enemy's ability to organize a coherent defense or a counterattack was effectively shattered. Morale crumbled swiftly under the weight of this relentless, multi-pronged pressure, frequently leading to swift surrenders. Blitzkrieg stands as a clear and potent historical example of the principles of shock and awe in action. Its primary aim was to disorient, dislocate, and psychologically paralyze the enemy. It actively sought the psychological disintegration of the opposing forces and their leadership. The sheer speed, ferocity, and coordinated nature of the attacks were overwhelming. Blitzkrieg was not just about achieving physical destruction of military assets. It was fundamentally about breaking the enemy's collective will to resist, to fight back. It was a chilling forerunner to many of the sophisticated psychological strategies employed in modern warfare today. The principles of shock and awe are not confined solely to military conflict. The human mind can become a battlefield targeted to overwhelm and subdue. Psychological shock aims to bypass rational thought, inducing confusion and vulnerability. It dismantles mental defenses, leaving the target susceptible to influence. This internal chaos makes resistance seem impossible. Manipulators intuitively employ tactics designed to overwhelm their targets. One common technique is gaslighting, systematically denying or distorting the target's reality. The manipulator might insist an event never happened, causing confusion and self-doubt. This erodes self-trust and makes the victim dependent on the manipulator's version of events. Another tactic involves extreme emotional swings, often seen in love bombing. The manipulator showers the target with affection, then suddenly withdraws it. This emotional whiplash creates dependency and fear of abandonment. In arguments, some use a strategy called gish gallop, overwhelming opponents with rapid claims. The goal is to create confusion and the appearance of intellectual superiority. This barrage makes the target feel flustered and incapable of responding effectively. Manipulators also create artificial crises or high-pressure environments. By manufacturing urgency, they force quick decisions without reflection. This exploits the human tendency to react impulsively under stress. Important decisions might be made under duress, influenced by the manipulator. This controlled crisis steers behavior through psychological shock. These tactics are designed to erode self-trust and foster dependency. Like and subscribe now. Echoes in the everyday. Learn how to recognize psychological awe. Psychological shock and awe can echo in everyday situations. Consider power dynamics in workplaces or personal relationships. An authority figure might use unpredictable outbursts of anger or criticism. This behavior instills fear and uncertainty, not constructive feedback. Such displays can leave subordinates or partners feeling intimidated and anxious. A manager who shames employees publicly creates an atmosphere of fear. Employees focus on avoiding wrath, rather than doing their best work. This constant stress can lead to learned helplessness. The ore here is a fearful respect for the manager's power. High-pressure sales tactics employ similar principles. A salesperson might bombard a customer with jargon and false urgency. This whirlwind of information bypasses rational decision-making. The aim is to create confusion and anxiety, leading to impulsive decisions. Over time, these smaller shocks can erode self-esteem and confidence. Recognizing these tactics is the first step towards reclaiming mental autonomy. The digital battlefield has become shock and awe in modern warfare. Military shock and awe today extends beyond conventional devastation. It includes cyberspace and space, targeting societal cohesion and infrastructure. Information warfare and cyber attacks are central to rapid dominance. Disinformation campaigns erode public trust and sow chaos. Cyber attacks can cripple essential services, inducing panic. This digital bombardment overwhelms decision-making processes. Drone warfare and precision-guided munitions add to the psychological impact. The threat of sudden strikes creates intense fear and anxiety. This constant dread disrupts daily life and erodes morale. The perceived omnipresence of the attacker reinforces dominance. These tactics aim for rapid, decisive victories with fewer casualties. They also serve as a deterrent to potential adversaries. The goal is to achieve strategic objectives efficiently. The spectacle of modern shock and awe is a display of power. It broadcasts dominance to the entire world stage. The algorithmic overwhelm causes psychological shock in the digital age. Shock and awe strategies are amplified by digital technologies. These tactics are used by various actors for manipulation. Social media algorithms create personalized filter bubbles. These bubbles reinforce biases and insulate users from dissenting views. The high-velocity stream of curated information overwhelms critical thinking. This can induce psychological awe or dependence on specific narratives. Disinformation campaigns spread false narratives rapidly. Fake news and deepfakes erode public trust and polarize societies. This bombardment creates cognitive dissonance and uncertainty. Political actors use these tactics to influence elections and incite unrest. Commercial entities shape consumer behavior and damage competitors. Controlling information flow offers a strategic advantage. The goal is to achieve desired outcomes through psychological overwhelm. This manipulation is low-cost, high-impact, and hard to attribute. The digital age has made psychological shock a powerful tool. The enduring appeal tells us why we still reach for overwhelming force. Shock and awe strategies tap into a desire for decisive control. The allure of quick dominance holds strong appeal. This attraction transcends technological advancements and historical eras. The perceived efficiency and cost-effectiveness drive these tactics. Military planners see it as a way to minimize casualties and resources. Psychological manipulation seems more efficient than genuine persuasion. This analysis often ignores long-term costs and collateral damage. Deterrence is another factor in the use of shock and awe. A visible application of force sends a potent message to others. It intimidates potential challengers and reduces future resistance. The goal is to shatter the opponent's will to fight or resist. A psychologically broken adversary is less likely to regroup. The aim is to instill a belief in the futility of resistance. Shock and awe target the human spirit, seeking complete capitulation. The ultimate goal is not just compliance, but total psychological defeat. The scars of steel show military victims enduring trauma. The aftermath of military shock and awe is utter devastation. Homes and workplaces reduced to rubble. Critical infrastructure lies shattered, the air thick with dust and cries of the injured. Basic necessities become scarce. Civilians experience horrifying sensory overload. Explosions aim to break the human spirit. Immediate psychological impact is profound. Primal fear grips entire populations. A sense of helplessness pervades. The familiar world disappears. Normal human responses break down. Soldiers face unimaginable destruction. Psychological shock leads to paralysis of will. The intended effect is to stun the enemy. Long-term physical consequences are severe. Many suffer from chronic injuries. Exposure to hazardous materials leads to severe health problems. Collapse of sanitation and healthcare systems spreads disease. Physical scars impact quality of life. Psychological harm is insidious and enduring. PTSD is common among survivors. Symptoms include flashbacks, nightmares, and anxiety. Depression follows loss and grief. Children suffer developmental trauma. Moral injury haunts soldiers. Psychological wounds pass through generations. The fractured psyche on victims of psychological warfare. Psychological shock tactics cause profound mental turmoil, plunging victims into confusion and disorientation. Anxiety and dread overwhelm them, distorting their reality. Manipulators erode their self-worth, causing victims to doubt their sanity. This leads to isolation, depression, and a fractured societal psyche. The lingering shadow shows societal wounds and cycles of harm. Societies subjected to military shock and awe endure profound trauma, tearing apart community life and cultural landmarks. Economic devastation cripples livelihoods, creating refugee crises and deep societal trauma. This trauma fosters resentment, radicalization, and cycles of violence. Healing requires acknowledgement, justice, and a commitment to prevent recurrence. The unseen battlefield in personal power, shock and awe extend beyond military campaigns, infiltrating our daily lives. Manipulators deploy tactics of overwhelm, emotional barrages, and information overload. Recognizing these patterns is crucial to reclaiming our mental space. Awareness is our shield against these pressures. Social media algorithms create echo chambers exploited by disinformation. Critical thinking is our defense against manipulation. Vigilance preserves our well-being and societal integrity. A legacy of power is reckoning and responsibility. Is shock and awe a brilliant strategy or a brutal instrument of psychological torture? The evidence overwhelmingly points to its devastating human cost. Swift victories and deterrence come at a stark, unforgiving reality for victims. Lives shattered, enduring physical pain and deep psychological scars. Entire societies torn apart, burdened by collective trauma. The intent to overwhelm and break the human spirit carries profound ethical weight. The awe induced is often one of terror and despair. This strategy leaves a grim legacy of suffering. From ancient empires to modern superstates, the doctrine of dominance persists. The ultimate goal remains psychological dominance. Shock and awe helped teach us the power of surprise. We defined its military application and its modern manifestations. We delved into its psychological underpinnings and its impact on victims. Shock and awe doctrine doesn't end here. There is still so much to be learned about future applications. Your understanding empowers you to navigate an increasingly complex world. Stay informed, stay critical, and stay engaged with the world around you. Click on one of these videos to continue your journey. Like and subscribe now. The journey of learning is a continuous, vital endeavor, essential for navigating the profound complexities of our times and for fostering a more conscious future. Like and subscribe for history, psychology, economics, and more.